All right, here's my first one. This is the weigh-in. Number one, this is going to be a boxing MMA podcast, vlogcast, and maybe just like vlogs of like me going to events and fights, and me watching fights, and me giving video reviews of fights and my reaction, predictions, all of that. I'll be covering all that here. So I have a few ideas on how to attack this. I think it's gonna be a little different than the way other people have ever attacked fighting podcasts or vlogcasts, all those things. I have a few ideas the way I'm gonna attack this, and I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. So I think I have a good idea where I'm going with this, and just happy to gain followers and just enjoy the ride. Um, Today I got some interesting topics today. We got the KSI versus Logan Paul number 2, which I attended. We have Qatar versus Zabit, who I call Babe Lincoln because he looks exactly like Abraham Lincoln. Interesting fights. Greg Hardy versus Volkov, I believe his name is. I'll be, this kind of podcast where I'm not gonna have like breaks in between. If I have to look something up, you'll see me doing it on my phone right here. But definitely have opinions on all this. Let's start off with the KSI Logan Paul. I feel like that's the biggest thing that everybody's talking about, and like whether it was good for boxing or not. And it definitely was. It was good for boxing. It was a good event. It was respectful to boxing. It was two guys that took it serious, and they fought a professional fight. They weren't world champions or not top prospects or not any of that. It's probably a one and done, which it should be. The skill level isn't there for them to continue on this, but it was an interesting fight. It was definitely interesting. If you could bring a crowd, I'm all for it. If you can bring the audience, then that's what sells. And they sold. That thing was sold out. I was there. The thing was sold out, and it was the weirdest boxing crowd I've ever been in. Okay, there was absolutely zero aggression in this crowd. Okay, it was what I imagine going to like Selena Gomez concert. I would describe that crowd. That's what I describe that crowd as. It was a bunch of little kids, but it was a fun energy in that. And then when the fight came, it turned to a fight crowd. It turned into an energetic crowd for fighting, and I really thought it was entertaining. I thought it was something that I'm glad I was there and I'm glad I witnessed it. These dudes took it serious. It wasn't like a joke. These guys trained. They got in shape. They came in with the mentality of fighters, and that was all you could really ask for. It was respectable. It really was. It was respectable. The skill level was not there. I'm gonna I have a few things to touch on this thing, but just right now I just wanted to kind of like touch on the crowd and everything that was there. Yeah, it was kids. It was a lot of kids. I went with my friend Jacob, my friend Elias, who's 18, and his girlfriend, and there was like a bunch of people would come in, and the crowd would go crazy and react like as Kobe Bryant walked in, and they were like 50-year-old scrawny kids. And I had to tell him like, "Oh, who's that?" And he'd be like, "It's a YouTuber." So I have no idea. I don't know any of these people. There's a whole new world out there that I think boxing used Logan Paul and them to access, and I think they did. I think they gained some fans. I really do. I think they gained some people that are interested in the sport now. Don't think it was a bad move. I think it was a good move. I don't think it's going to continue. I don't think celebrity boxing is a thing that's going to continue. I think these two guys just struck while the iron's hot. These guys are smart. That's the thing is if you try to play these guys like they're stupid, they're not dumb people. These guys are successful in this business for a reason. The YouTube business and social media and all those things are very smart. And they saw that this was going to gain a crowd and an audience. And once they did, they struck. And they did the first one. And then they got Eddie Hearn behind this one. And he's a smart guy in boxing, probably the smartest guy in boxing right now. And he said, let's make it a pro fight, no headgear. Let's do it with everything you would do for a mega fight. And that's what they did. And it worked. It worked on a lot of levels. I thought the commentating crew, or when I haven't really seen the full thing on the zone. I've seen like bits and pieces of the pre-fight. They could have did that better. I feel like maybe that's honestly what I'm going to bring to this with fight games is like that voice that's going to connect those things. But yeah, I thought they could have did it better. The guys they had talking, the guy hosting like the pre-fight with Ryan Garcia, which was a good pickup because he is in both worlds and he's elite in probably both worlds of like social media and boxing. He's an elite prospect. and he's an elite fighter. And then you have he's social media, he has a big presence. And then they had the other guy, I wasn't sure who he was. I think he was a pro fighter. He was 1-0, I believe. I looked up his record. But he's also a big YouTube personality and social media personality. And then the guy hosting, I have no idea who that guy is. I don't know who this guy was. He didn't know boxing. His questions were very dumb. When he talked to Stylebender, I thought he phrased everything very stupid, and I thought that it was it kind of put Stylebender in like a weird situation. Stylebender kind of had to like ask him again like what he was asking to make sure he was answering it correctly, or that he wasn't putting Stylebender in a spot. You know what I mean? But I thought so I thought that was a little. I didn't really care for that guy, and I thought that kind of you needed someone that kind of knew both, but was really there to talk to fighting and could phrase the questions better. This guy seemed like if they put like a TMZ guy in there to talk. That's what it kind of seemed like, and I didn't care for that. I thought they could have did that better. But all around, I love the event of it. I love a good event, and that's what fighting is. It's like how can you make the biggest event? And they did. They made the biggest event, and it landed. It did, and it was good for boxing. And let's get down to the fight. Now let's get to the card. They put Billy Joe Saunders on this card, who no one knows. Like none of those people knew Billy Joe Saunders was on that card. They didn't. I could hear the people talking around me that did not know who this guy was. I know who he is. I know that he's a high-level fighter. I know that he's a serious contender to fight Canelo, Danny Jacobs, Smith, all those guys. He's right up there to fight all those guys. But they didn't know him. And DAZN did an interesting thing which I wouldn't have done personally, but they did. Is they gave him actually a tough opponent. Now, was he tougher than they thought it was going to be, or was Saunders a little bit off that night? Maybe, but I would have put him in there with a tomato can, honestly. This crowd did not know the difference. Wouldn't have known the difference. Would have just saw the knockout. Would have saw him being flashy, combination on the guy, and they would have been impressed. He would have gained a bunch of fans, but they didn't do that, and it was a tough performance. It was a little bit lackluster, but it was on a well-boxing crowd. That's a good fight. People would have been entertained. On a well-knowledgeable boxing crowd, that would have been a good fight, but not this crowd. And I don't know how they missed that. I don't know what they were thinking doing that matchup. I guess they were just trying to say, like, look, we're putting on good competitive fights on that, but I thought it was a miss. I was telling my friends about who this guy was, and I was like, because I thought they were going to put him in tomato can. I never heard of the guy he fought. But as soon as I seen it go, I was like, oh, this guy's, he's Argentinian. I believe he was Argentinian. He had the Argentinian style of like a little bit awkward, but they're smart fighters, and they're durable, and they hit hard. And I could see Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, he was losing to me. He was losing up to the point where he got the knockout. And when he got the knockout, it kind of taught me something. It was that even if you're in that mode where like the crowd's falling, because the crowd was booing, all these things, it was not what they wanted, right? But I give him to Billy Joe. He never let the crowd really get to him. He kind of just stood patient, and when he got the knockout, that was all forgiven, really. The crowd, as long as they saw the knockout and the highlights and they were going crazy, it was all forgiven. Everything was truly forgiven at that point. So if you're in, this is like, there's always life lessons, this thing. And it's like, keep going steady. Don't fall away what you do, because people are most likely going to remember the latest thing that happened, and not everything happened before that. And that's really what happened in that fight. The knockout, he did get the knockout, and the crowd was impressed at that. And the kids and all them were going crazy. So I think he gained fans. He was cheered, like when they did the interview and all that, he was cheered. So it was cool. This crowd was, it was a polite crowd. It was a real polite crowd. Like, it wasn't what I expected. It was they got behind people and stuff like that. It was cool. It was a cool environment. And then, then they had Devin Haney come in, and he actually went in with a real tough guy. I think that guy would give a lot of guys problems, a lot of top guys problems. And David Haney did what he had to do. He won the fight, and he won in convincing fashion. Like, on the scorecards, to me, it was not close. He won basically almost every round, but it was a tough, competitive fight. Like, it wasn't easy. And I thought that was the worst matchup they could have did for Devin Haney, who Devin Haney could be an absolute star because of the way he fights, and he's aggressive when he does have a guy out of there. And he just couldn't get that. He couldn't get that knockout. And I thought that was a really big missed opportunity by Eddie Hearn and DAZN. I thought that was huge. Matchroom Boxing. I don't know what they were doing. They should have just put him in there with a tomato can. He just make him look devastated. He would have gained a lot of fans that night. He's young. He probably has social media presence. I got to look into that. I don't know what his followers are or whatever, but people would have jumped behind him. That was a missed opportunity. I thought that was the biggest miss of the night, was that. I think there were other I don't know, like if there was I got there probably one fight before the main card. It was like a YouTube guy who was a pro MMA fighter, I believe. He won, but he was horrible. I mean, the skill's not there for these guys. I mean, obviously, I don't know what you expect. There's not going to be the skill there, but it was what it was. It was supposed to be entertaining for those guys. So I saw that. I thought there was some missed opportunities there. They probably could have put tomatoes cans. Billy Joe, I don't think you're going to get Canelo next. I don't think he deserved Canelo next. That's pretty much what he said, is he didn't deserve it. But there are fights there. I think Smith and him makes the most sense to me. And the winner of that can fight Canelo. I think Smith will win that fight. I don't know. Is Billy Joe a natural 168? I think he could go down to 160, honestly. And if I remember correctly, Billy Joe was at 160. I don't know how he got to 168. But I remember he was supposed to fight Demetrius Andrade, and that was going to be at 160. Now he's 168, and I don't think he looks good at that weight, personally. I think he looks slow, sluggish, and I just don't think – I didn't like this before. I didn't think he looked sharp. I liked the performance. I liked the steady. He stood steady, never let the crowd get to him, and he got the knockout that he needed. But he did look sluggish to me. He didn't look as fluid as he usually looks. Now, he was after a long layoff. I give him that. I don't – what was the layoff on him? He might have fought – He might have fought actually one before that, but whatever it was, he didn't look. It wasn't Canelo worthy, and I don't know who is Canelo worthy from that point. I don't. Those guys, no one's really sticking out. So we'll see. Haney, he needs a few more. I mean, they want to do the Garcia fight. That fight doesn't make sense yet. These guys need a main event, a few fights on their own, because that should be a super fight when these guys fight. You got Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Garcia, and those are. I want to see all those guys fight at one point, but not yet. That's way too soon. They're all young. Let them beat some older champions. Let them clear out their weight division, and then they can meet. Maybe not next year, but the year after, and we can do some super fights and get some De La Hoya Mosley like when they fought. Not yet, but missed opportunity for Haney, but he's gonna be all right. He's got boxing fans to know him. He just got to build that mainstream audience, the people that aren't casual, the people that are casual fans. He doesn't have that yet, and I don't think he gained it that night. Let's get to the KSI Logan Paul fight. Energy in the building was crazy. It's like I said, as soon as they started coming out, the music, you had Rick Ross there. It was crazy. It felt like a big fight. They did it right. They did it. Those guys came in. They weren't joking around. Serious. It was what I expected, because that's kind of the way they took the first one. Even though the one was the headgears, it was like an amateur fight. These guys were never taking it as a joke. They were never joking about it. They were always serious, always the training. They came in shape. You know what I mean? I thought it was cool. I knew going in that I was like interested in watching it, because I thought there's gonna be at least two guys taking it serious. And something about two guys that take it seriously in a fight, that's why boxing's so entertaining, because you want to see that. I knew the skill level was going to be there. My friends were asking me, you think Logan Paul's going to be better than he was last time because he had just done it? And I said, no, he's not going to be any better. Boxing is like, the way boxing works, and like you're training it, is that the improvements are like, they come like this. They come wide. So like, he started boxing. He made improvements there. But then you hit like a part where you'll stay there for a little bit, and you got to keep working it, and then it'll grow again. But it might take years. I mean? It takes time. It's not going to be like, oh, I started 2 months ago. Now I've been doing it for 6 months. Now I'm insanely better. No, it kind of doesn't work that way. There's a lot of things that need to go in. I think he takes, honestly, I don't think from when he boxed KSI last time, he just stood doing it. I think he took breaks and did his YouTube stuff and all that, and then came back to it. So I didn't expect much different from talent-wise from either guy. I just expected more composure and more stamina, and I think that's what we got. We got more composure and more stamina, and considerably more from KSI. So KSI has been doing this longer. He did have a fight with another YouTuber before that, so you have to keep that in mind, that he has been doing this longer, and he has a real trainer in Jeff Mayweather. That's a real trainer. He has real guys behind him in real gyms. So these are guys that are really watching everything he's doing, every little step, and they're really putting the time in him. The money's there. The people are going to put the time in you. And the money was definitely there. They didn't treat him like no YouTuber. They treat him like this is a guy that really wants to fight. And the trainers, they have a passion for this. They're not, there's people there to collect money, but most of the time you have a guy and the money's there for you and everything. They're going to take their time with him and bring him up correctly. And I thought that's what they did. So my mind in this one, I didn't think the skill level was going to be too different. I thought Logan Paul, what he showed in the first one was the jab. It was like a really effective jab. In case I really didn't have an answer for that early. And then the fight, the way it went, and the first one was like KSI couldn't respond to the jab, but then Logan Paul, the moment of it and the adrenaline, it burned him, and then KSI, jumped on him late, and that was like that's why it was 3-3. So I expected Logan Paul to have the more of a stamina to go in this one, and I thought, I don't know if they taught KSI to react to the jab or what to do with the jab or to counter that, but they definitely did, because what I expected was Logan Paul to jab him and maybe get a decision just because of the jab, in case I still had no answer for that, and Logan Paul wasn't going to get tired at this point. But it didn't go that way. KSI did a nice change of levels. He came under the jab and jabbed with his own. So once he changed levels, I thought, I saw that in the first round, and I thought, oh man, Logan's in trouble, because he had never worked on that. His stand-up is real stiff. He's real high up. Now, he's athletic. I'll give him that. He's an athletic guy. So he picked up a movement quick. But the difference being athletic and being a fighter, right? And I don't know if he's a fighter. And I don't think any of these guys are fighters, like as in talented fighters. And he picked up that jab, nice little thing he picked up real quick, right? In the first one. He had that same idea going into this one. I'm just going to jab him. But once KSI had changed the level on him and got under his jab with his own jab, it had really threw off Logan. Once he couldn't land that jab, and then KSI came out with an aggression. So I think what they thought was, okay, we know what worked in the first fight. Let's not wait until he tires out. Let's put that on now, because we don't think his skill level has adapted to that overhand swinging right hand. So he throws a real wide right hand, real wide here. And when you're amateur in boxing, you're not used to it. What you do is you back up, and you back up with your hands like this, just natural instinct, or you back up like this. And what the problem is with that is when you back up, is the hand's still coming and getting you. You're not here. What you really should do is the guy comes over with that hand, you should go under it. But that takes a lot of coordination, a lot of skill, a lot of training to get there. And when you're in the middle of a fight and the things are happening fast and there's a huge crowd, it's most of the time you're not going to have it. So what was smart is the KSI just went out there and just started throwing it over and over and over again. And Logan Paul would back up, but he'd back up straight and would hit. And then when he did miss him, it took a lot of his legs to move on that with that. So when you're young and inexperienced in boxing, you do extra movement that you don't have to do, but he did. He's not gonna, like I said, they're YouTubers who train to fight this fight, but they're not pro fighters or not pro prospects. He would move a thing, and once I saw that, and once I seen him get hit with the pro glove, and you could feel the knuckle in the shot, I could see in his face he did not truly want to get hit anymore. I could see it. I could see in the Logan Paul. I was like, KSI came out aggressive. I was like, maybe he'll get tired again because he's coming out super aggressive. But once I seen the shots landing on Logan, I knew that was draining his energy. So I was like, the energy is draining at the same point, at the same time, but KSI is winning these rounds. So if they're both tired at the end, it's not going to matter because KSI is going to be the more aggressive on the fight. So about 3 rounds of that, that's basically what was happening. Overhand rights. KSI just jumped on him. The skill level, people are saying that Logan Paul was more skilled than him. I do not see that. That was not the case to what I saw. What Logan Paul does is tries to keep more calm, like I'm going to pick my shot. But there's no different in skill level. It's just the KSI is more aggressive. And he jumps in with the overhand right. But, Logan didn't even throw his right hand. He literally kept his right hand thing. Why? Because he didn't want to get hit with his, right? He didn't want to trade because he was getting hit. And once you get that in your mentality, it's the fight is basically over. I thought by the 3rd round, I saw Logan. He won his corner. He looked tired. I thought, okay, this fight's over. KSI is going to win it. He's already 3 rounds. He's got to win 1 more. And then it was the 4th round, which was the interesting moment, was KSI walked into an uppercut. And when he walked into the uppercut, it hurt him. It stunned him. What Logan did, though, is he put his hand behind his head and held him for a second uppercut. And that dropped him. Wasn't a legit knockdown because you can't hold and hit. Okay, you can't hold someone's head in place and put a shot into him. That's illegal. It hurt KSI. He dropped to the ground. Now, the ref correctly called it and said, no, not a knockdown. Illegal shot. Also, while he was down, Logan hit him. I don't think that shot was too effective, but he did hit him. And so the ref said, no, not a knockdown. Brought him to the corner. KSI was really hurt. He was really hurt. The ref goes and takes 2 points away. Now, everybody's mad about this. They're saying they shouldn't have took 2 points away. Incorrect. He should have took 2 points away. It was either 2 points or a DQ. This was the only way you could play that because it affected KSI. It affected his equilibrium. So he may not have ever recovered throughout the fight. So it had to be a penalty worthy of the damage that he was given, right? Because If KSI never recovers and Logan goes, they rest. He sits there for 5 minutes. But no matter you sit there forever, you still may never recover your equilibrium, and you're going to be easier to hurt going forward in the fight. So there was such a huge disadvantage that you had to take these points away from Logan because of the disadvantage he put KSI at. Now, the first uppercut did hurt him, and maybe he did not need to hold him and hit him, but he did do that, and we cannot get past that. So he held him, hit him, dropped him. 2 points have to be done. Now KSI comes back. KSI is in pure survival mode at this point. So Logan still has an advantage. Even though 2 points away, he has a huge advantage because he landed an illegal shot that put him down. He never reacted. What the thing is that no one's commenting on is he never went after it, though, because he was tired himself and drained. So he never went after it. He let the rest of the round, he let KSI survive. And if you're going to come with excuses and everything, there was no excuse really to have. You had him hurt from a shot, and you illegal shot. They're going to allow the fight to continue because KSI never asked to quit. He could have easily said, "I'm done. I got hit with the illegal shot. I don't want to continue." He never did that. He never did that. This guy showed heart the whole night. That he never quit. Even when he was tired, he was still coming forward. He won in that fight, and he fought to a thing that I think any pro fighter that saw they would respect. Any boxing journalist that saw, if they knew anything, should respect, is he never looked for a way out. He won in there, and he stood in there, and he survived that round. There's a lot of heart. I gained a lot of respect for him for that, because he went in there, and Logan Paul never went after him in that round. In that round, he had him hurt. And he's talking about, you shouldn't have took 2 points away. No. You didn't want to go after him. You landed a shot when he came forward. I'll give you that. But you never went after him when you had him hurt. You never did. You never went after him. Then after that round, so you had to score that round 9-8 for KSI because they took 2 points away. So Logan won the round, but he got 2 points away, so KSI wins around 9-8. Right? So to me, KSI's up 4 rounds. Go to the 5th, KSI's a survival round. Logan wins that round. Now, he doesn't do anything really too aggressive. He's a little more aggressive, but nothing where he's going to finish the fight. KSI smartly takes a round off and survives that round. Now you go into the 6th. To me, KSI is up 4 rounds to 1. Logan's in knockout. KSI is the aggressor in the last round. He's the one that puts his heart on the line. He's dead tired. He's been aggressive the whole night. He's been hurt. He's been dropped. All these things. And he's the one putting the energy in the 5th round. In the 6th round, the final round. And Logan Paul kind of is aggressive, kind of isn't, doesn't throw a lot, doesn't throw any right hands, just kind of jabs his way through. That jab's no longer effective. He really didn't add any dimensions to his fight game, which is what I expected. He wasn't going to add much. It was a really, really important round to show that KSI was the winner of the fight. He was the one that really wanted it, and he was never going to be denied it. And that was beautiful. And I think that's what boxing, could teach you, is that these guys that are new to this, it's really cool to see that, this is a guy that he really dedicated himself mentally. Mentally, he was in there. See, Logan was never, I felt, was in there mentally once he got hit. Mentally, he was checked out. And when he got the knockdown, I think it was a nice surprise for him, but it was never, he was applying things to get that knockout. Mentally, when he got hit, I believe he had checked out. I believe he never asked for a way out. He never did. I'll never accuse him of that. But I just don't think that he wanted to put the aggression in that would cause it getting hit like that. I don't think he wanted that. He didn't want to stay in there on that. And which is okay, because who wants to get hit with those shots? That's why there's pros that do this bad boy, because it's crazy. You have a crazy mentality to do that. And he got in there. They did it. They did it in front of a huge crowd. They could have got embarrassed. They could have both got embarrassed, and they didn't. They did. They put up a good, I thought it was an entertaining fight. I thought KSI was obviously the winner, 5 rounds to 1. One of the judges had it for Logan. Boxing isn't rigged. Okay, it's not. I don't believe that. I don't believe people are paying for these things, but I do believe judging is horrible. And I do believe that a flaw in the judging is that you have a judge on each side of the ring and they're all seeing 3 different things. When I believe that the judges should be watching the same monitor screen, watching the same angles that you're watching on TV. I don't believe that they should be I don't believe you should be judging a fight and your vision is flawed because they're in one corner and you can't see it, but the other 2 can. I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's right. I think you should be watching on camera angles. They're always showing you the best angles so you can see the action. And I don't know who the hell you could score the fight. I don't know how the hell you score the fight for Logan Paul. That blows my mind. It would have been a robbery of all robberies. And if they said that if they wouldn't have taken those 2 points that Logan would have won, that would have been a robbery as well. So all that aside, though, the right guy won. He won the fight. Entertaining show they put on, and it was fun. Now, is this going to happen a lot? No, I don't. No. It's not. Boxing, the thing about the ring is that people are saying, like, why don't you have a problem with this? Or I heard a lot of people saying they have a problem with this. The ring does not discriminate. That ring does not discriminate whether you are famous, whether you are not famous, whether you are poor, whether you are rich, no matter what size you are, no matter what race you are. The ring does not discriminate. All truths will be revealed in the ring. And that's what happened. These guys' skill level was not there. Will this happen again? Both of them said they wanted to go different routes and they weren't really interested. They both were very non-committal of a future fight going forward. Of course not. They felt the truth and realized what it was, and they said, if I fight anyone any higher level than this, he will knock me out. That's just the truth of it. So it's not going to continue. Fans aren't dumb either. Okay, they saw this. This was a one-time thing. It's a two-time thing, but the one-time thing where it was a big event like this. They're not going to continually pay for this because the skill level was not there. It was fun that moment. It's like when the WWE does like the Tyson Fury versus the Strowman fight. It's fun. That one time, it's fun. They couldn't keep doing Fury fights like that. But that one time, it was fun. That's what this had. Boxing has to have that. That's the only boxing's the only sport that could do that. Okay, you can't do a football game where you're going to put like Brad Pitt, George Clooney teams. No one's going to care. But boxing, you can do that once. And then when you have that, when the things strike like that, you have to take advantage of it. And as a fighter, don't be mad about this. Learn from this. Learn what these two guys did. They built a following out of being themselves, though. Logan Paul to me is annoying. He's an annoying guy. I don't think he's really funny. But something about him when he's on TV, you watch and whether you hate him or not, and I think most people don't like him, honestly. I think that he has a following of kids, but most people like his age and older are probably kind of annoyed with him. But he has a thing where he's authentic. He's really himself. He doesn't really tend to try to make you like him. He just kind of be himself. And I think as a fighter, you have to realize to build that following. You have to be yourself. You have to be authentic. People love, look at Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz has been around fighting forever. Since I was small, I've seen Nate Diaz fight. He's always been the same guy. He's always been the same guy. He never changed. And it wasn't, he was always like an indie fighter. Like, fans liked him, but no one would ever put money behind him. No, nothing. You would have told me that Nate is what he is now, I would have never believed it. Because I just never thought no one's gonna put money behind him. But he was himself always, and it finally paid off because he had built his own following. He didn't need the money or the backing or all that. All those things, if you're acting fake and trying to play to like the media or trying to play to like the promoter, it's not going to work. People want authentic, and these two guys are authentic, at least that. And they really didn't like each other. They did not. It was not fake. They do not like each other, and that's what builds a crowd. Learn from them. Look at Ryan Garcia. This guy is a legit fighter and also has a legit following, and that's because he built it really himself. He built this himself, and you gotta. If we're not learning from this and we're not adjusting to the times of what it is, the social media times and YouTube and all these things are there. Do them, embrace them, learn from them, but be yourself and be authentic. Don't try to be Logan Paul. Don't try to be Jake Paul. Don't try to be KSI. Be yourself, but put yourself on there so people can see and follow you. It's a whole different. We don't need all the other things anymore. You don't need ESPN to have you on there anymore. You don't need to be on the news. You don't need to do all those things like regular TV. It's dying. I'm telling you. I'm looking at these kids. They do not watch this stuff, and they do not watch like stuff how we used to take in information. That is gone now. It's a complete new world. And there's scrawny, nerdy people that I would never think, people would think like that guy's the coolest guy in the world, but they are famous and people think they are the coolest guys in the world. This adjust, you got to adjust. And as fighters, this is actually built for you as a fighter. NFL, you can't really do this. NBA, it's very limited because you have a team that has to endorse everything you do and you can't say certain things. Boxing and MMA, you can do whatever you want. Embrace this, get the following. Because we should learn from this. We should truly learn from this. Let's move over now to the MMA. So we had the UFC. You had I want to make sure I have this guy's name. I believe it's Volkov. Make sure. There'll be a bunch of MMA guys who play this freaking cash. Let me see here. Greg Hardy fought Volkov. Yeah, I was right. Okay, Greg Hardy fought Volkov. I have a few interesting ideas. So a lot of people were impressed with Greg Hardy's performance. I was not. Okay, I was not impressed with Greg Hardy's performance. Greg Hardy fought like a guy that had just learned how to fight. He's athletic. I don't think he's a fighter, but he's athletic. I'll give him that. What did he do really? So people saying like, well, he stood in there with the top 10 guy. Yeah, but what did he do? That says more about, to me, the top 10 guy than it does Greg Hardy. He added nothing really to his game. He threw what? Wild left hooks. The one thing I thought that was more effective that he didn't even catch was his jab. He could jab his way in there because Volkov is so bad off his back foot. Volkov is terrible moving backwards. I mean, absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible moving backwards. He is similar to what, honestly, Logan Paul was doing backwards. He loses himself going backwards. He has to be standing still or going forward. And that fight Volkov won, but he won in the most unimpressive way possible. He literally outpointed a guy that's been fighting for 2 years, and Volkov's been doing this his whole life. It was not an impressive performance. It was nothing that I would be excited to see Volkov ever again. It was nothing that I would say like, oh, well, let's see what he can do. No, he's not. He doesn't got it. He's not an elite guy. He's not. I can tell you from that one performance, he's not an elite guy. If that was Francis, he would have slept Greg Hardy. Okay, he would have absolutely slept him. Okay, if that was Stipe, he would have slept Greg Hardy. He would have embarrassed him. This guy could not do it to Greg Hardy, who had nothing to his game. His takedowns were horrible. His attempts were horrible. His punches were terrible. His movement was horrible. His defense was horrible. I don't know what he brought. People are saying like, well, look at him. He's getting no. There was no dimensions to his game that really changed from what I've originally seen. Well, he's a little bit more composed. You're gonna get that over time. You do anything, you're more composed. If a terrible driver keeps driving every day, they're gonna get more composure in their driving. So there was nothing to his game. I don't think that was good for MMA personally. I don't think that it's good, and I think that maybe only in the heavyweight division is this possible. But I don't think it's good that a guy that trains for 2 years, no matter what level of athlete he is, can compete with a top 10 fighter. I do not think that's good. Okay, I do not think that's good for the sport. That a guy that comes from no fighting discipline comes 2 years and competes with a top 10 guy. That wasn't a good thing. To me, it wasn't. I would have never. I understand they were trying to sell tickets. I would have never gave Greg Hardy that fight because I never thought he earned it. Okay, I understand what they did, but I never thought he earned it. But you know what? At least he made it. It was competitive, right? That was on Volkov that it was competitive. He did not do anything to make Greg Hardy pay for his mistakes, really. And it was mistakes where he was just lunging in. But Volkov couldn't do anything to respond to it. So are you going to tell me he's an elite fighter? No, he's not an elite fighter. He's been training fighting. I'll give him that. But I don't think he's an elite fighter. I don't think he has any chance of ever beating a world champion. And if he does, then that just shows the heavyweight division is god-awful in the UFC. So the main event, though, let's go to really underappreciated guys in MMA. And I think MMA has a lot of underappreciated guys. But Zabit he's an amazing fighter. He has all my respect. There is a thing, though, that he is in these competitive fights. I can't explain why he's constantly in competitive fights. I think this one, I can. He fought in another elite fighter, and they got into a pretty good MMA boxing match. Zabit added a few other things. He had a few kicks, a few takedown trips. He's really multi-dimensional fighter, but he's very structured in what he does. Everything is so balanced. It's so beautiful. I could watch this guy fight forever. He's really a gorgeous fighter. Qatar is another excellent fighter. Really good discipline, fundamentals. I would say, like in boxing, he has good hooks. He does throw. See, a lot of guys say like MMA, there's like he's a good boxer and he only throws 1-2s and they're straight. I'll give him that. This guy doesn't. He kind of gave me some hooks. He gave me some body hooks over. He went over with the left. They made this fight, and I feel like it wasn't appreciated enough. These guys fought. It should have won 5 rounds. It was the main event, but they couldn't because I believe there was a late substitution. That fight wasn't supposed to be the main event, but then they made it the main event. Those guys will meet in the future. I don't like that they met now, and it wasn't respected enough, but I think Zabit is going to come from the belt. I feel pretty confident in that, and I think this guy Qatar is going to be knocking out a lot of contenders coming his way up, too. That division right now is hot. It's probably one of the better divisions in UFC right now, and I don't know. I just really liked it. I really thought that was a really great fight. I think it was under talked about fight, and I want to see where Zabit's going to go. I think Zabit's the fight that I think would put Zabit over the top is versus Pantera. I think that's a really good fight, and I think he would win that fight personally. I think stand-up wise, he He's more crisp. You know, if they say he was training with boxers and stuff, I could see it. I could see the stuff. I think if you told me a guy was going to transfer from MMA to boxing and was going to be serious and could work his way up or anything like that, I would, maybe my number one pick would be Sabit. He's so fluid. His movement's so fluid. He understands. He does little things like his hands. There were points of the fight where like these are just like things that you have to only know if you're a real good fighter you would see. He wasn't putting a lot in his shots, but he was working the body. But they were light, like they were light shots, so he wasn't wasting energy. But he was still touching you, and it was in a tight space. Things like that. That's elite stuff. Like it's not stuff that these guys wouldn't understand. They couldn't comprehend how he was doing that. He was touching with little shots in between, and he just happened to fight a really good guy that I think is not talked about. Like it's funny to me that the guys we do talk about in MMA and the guys we don't talk about, and the fact that these two guys are not mega stars in the sport, it surprised me. But it's the same thing in boxing. We have the same thing in boxing. There's really good boxers in boxing that don't get, they're not stars, but these are the guys that I would be selling because they could do everything and they're elite. And I like watching talent, elite talent. That's what I want to see, and that's what I saw that night. And that was a good fight. And I want to see what these guys are going forward. To see if I touch on a few things. I wanted to do this like a week ago. I wanted to do it before the BMF Belt. I could give my thoughts on that. I just thought Nate, going into a fight, I thought Nate is not a welterweight. And it's like when Conor fought a welterweight, they're not welterweights. They're lightweights who can get to that weight, but they're not really welterweights. And I thought that's what we saw that night. And I think he's a little bit washed. I saw that when he fought Pettis. I thought Pettis was hitting him pretty easily and was hurting him standing up. And then he wore him down with experience and pressure. But he's washed and he's small. And Masvidal did what he was supposed to do. And Masvidal's very good. And Masvidal's putting it all together right now. There's another thing with the UFC is that did Masvidal outgrow the division as a star? So what I mean by that is Conor at one point outgrew UFC as a star. He didn't have to fight in the rankings or he didn't have to fight for titles. He was beyond all that. And honestly, I think that's what hurt Conor's career right now is who does he fight? Like what fight makes sense really? Like the Cerrone fight? Not really. It doesn't make sense. Who is on the star power that's worthy of fighting him? Because Conor needs to fight for about 40 million. Like he's on that level where he needs to make about between 30 to 40 million a fight. But who puts him on the level? It's only Khabib, really. Okay, Ferguson maybe, Nate definitely. Nate and Khabib are really the only fights. That's why he can't get another fight though, because they can never agree on the money because he's going to demand a certain amount of money because he deserves a certain amount of money. And he's really outgrew the sport where he doesn't need to do rankings or title shots or anything like that. That's where the UFC suffers, is if you become too big of a star, you really don't work in the UFC under their format, right? Under the restrictions, you don't work like that. And I think that Nate's been like that, and that's why it's funny, you get to the star power and then you can't fight in the sport anymore. And these guys disappear for years and then we don't see talent because in boxing they would just promote themselves. And then you could do your own thing and you could pick your opponent, and like Floyd Mayweather did for a long time and Pacquiao does. So Nate and Masvidal's like, well, what's Nate going to go from here, right? It has to go around 155, in my opinion. But he won't because to be honest with you, I think he's somewhat at the end of his career. I don't think he wants to make that cut anymore. So, and his mentality is I could beat anyone at any weight, whatever. He can't at 170. He's not an elite fighter at 170. He's not elite, right? He's a middle of the road fighter at 170. If he took it one serious and cut 155, I think he's a threat. I don't think he's the best guy at that weight, but I think he's a threat at that weight. Masvidal, who's he gonna fight? Now, okay, Usman and them maybe, right? Okay. Yes, but Masvidal's the selling point of that fight. Usman and Colby Covington, to me, are not the selling points of that fight. Now, Colby's got everybody hates him, but I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think Colby Covington's a superstar. I think everybody hates him because he wears a Donald Trump hat. Yeah, but I think anyone wore a Donald Trump hat, majority of people probably hate you. So he's not a superstar. I think that if he wins, right, he beats Usman, which I kind of think he will, Colby Covington. I think he does more. I think he's a little bit, I think, more dimensional fighter. His striking is better than Usman. I'll say that right now. His striking is better than Usman. The wrestling, I don't know. We're gonna see how that plays out. I think it might be a wash. Their cardio is probably gonna be. That's the most interesting part of that fight is whose cardio is better because they're both gonna push each other. And I've never seen Colby Covington get tired, and I've never seen Usman get tired. To be fair, so I think Usman likes to do a lot of holding you against the gate, but I just think Colby Covington's going to counter that, and he's going to be working while doing it. So he wins, right? Then you could have maybe have a selling point. But the whole thing is that Masvidal, when Trump showed up, wasn't anti-Trump really. He was kind of like, oh, he respected him, whatever. So that kind of loses that, the selling point of the fight, that he's like, I'm going to make this guy pay because he's a MAGA hat Trump supporter, right? That was some kind of selling point to the fight. And I'm a Cuban from Florida, whatever, right? But Masvidal didn't really take that when Trump came. It was kind of like, well, that's cool, whatever. So you're not going to sell that now because you're going to be like, no, well, you were cool with it before. Why are you doing that now? And I don't think Masvidal's the kind of guy to fake something. He's kind of going to be authentic, and he's not really. Masvidal's like not really like a talker. You know what I mean? Like he says stuff that's interesting, and he talks about like he'll punch someone that make threats and stuff like that. But he's not really like a trash talker. And Colby Covington's going to be talking trash, but I don't know. I don't really see how that's a mega fight. I don't think it really is. And I think Masvidal, the fights that make more sense for him is Nick Diaz. And I know that Nick Diaz was on Era Hawani today. Today we're doing this on Monday, November 11th. And Nick Diaz said that he, felt a little bit of disrespect from Masvidal, talking about, knocking out his little brother and baptizing him in the ring. And that's a fight to me that makes the most sense, actually. That's the fight where I'm like, okay, that brother's revenge, get it for the BMF belt. And then the next thing that I think that makes the most sense for him is Canelo in a boxing fight. And I know that I don't think he has a chance in that, but I think that makes sense. And I think that Canelo doesn't really have a fight that makes sense for him next. And I think that if Canelo waits and lets boxing settle itself out, let these guys fight each other, take that fight with Masvidal. I think that's not a bad idea. I don't understand how that's not being talked about more. And I know Masvidal brought it up. I know Masvidal would be down. I think he'd get knocked out, but I think he'd be down to do it. And I think there's money to be made there for both. And I just think that Masvidal, what is he going to do in MMA really? Okay, so he wins the title, right? So say he beats the guy and he wins the title. Where does he go from there? What's the money fight after that? See, because you get into this for money, and Masvidal is there for money right now. That's the fights he wants, or money. These guys, at one point, they're going to get past the title. They don't really care about that belt. They want the money fight, like what Conor got. He wants the money fights. Nick Diaz, that makes sense. Nick Diaz, Nick Diaz, actual 170. He hasn't fought in a while, but has a big following, and they like him and his brother. Revenge factor, BMF belt, or Canelo Alvarez in a boxing fight. And I know we think that's crazy, but we thought Conor and Floyd was crazy. It could definitely happen. Mayor Masvidal's main thing is really his hands, and you can cut some tape, some highlight tape of him knocking people out with his hands and him knocking out with people with his knees. Doesn't matter, and put it in there. And I think I know DAZN would buy it. I know for a fact DAZN would buy that fight. I know for a fact, and I think that we would all watch it. I don't think there's anyone down there that wouldn't watch it. So I think that's where you go with that. Other than that, we saw Tyson Fury. He's training MMA. It's my last one is Tyson Fury training MMA, and that's interesting. And I don't like how Greg Hardy is considered a threat in MMA, but Tyson Fury is a joke. An elite fighter is a joke in MMA, and I don't get that. I think it's just the battle between boxing and MMA, and I think I don't know. I don't understand it. I think boxing has a very excellent base to get into MMA. Now, do I think that a boxer comes straight to MMA and cleans out the whole thing? No, I don't. But I think that he could train it, and I think he has a really good base more than jiu-jitsu, for sure. If you tell me that a jiu-jitsu guy that just does jiu-jitsu has a better base than boxing to get into MMA, I disagree 100%. I disagree 100%. Okay, so jiu-jitsu is like, if you lack athleticism, jiu-jitsu is built for you. There's like it's almost like a training wheels for a fighting sport. Okay, but boxing is like balance, it's hips, it's movement, it's base, it's being a solid base. And you're gonna tell me that the world heavyweight champ of the world going to MMA doesn't have a shot, but Kron Gracie is a threat. Stop. Greg Hardy's a threat. Stop. Okay, stop. Think about what you're saying. Okay, think about what you're saying. It's a joke. And I'll tell you this right now. Greg Hardy could never come into boxing and beat a top 10 guy. Never in his life. Okay? He couldn't come to boxing and beat a top 10 heavyweight. Never in his life. Or even be competitive with one. Never in his life. MMA, he can. He just proved that. So don't tell me, one's the real fight and one isn't. Okay? Boxing is it's the most honest form of fighting because there's no other way out. There's no tricks to boxing. It's you have one skill set. Are you the best at it? And so I think Tyson Fury going to MMA, it's interesting. I don't know if he wins. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he's real long. He maybe have a real hard time with a guy with a fast double leg. Maybe that gets taken down and that would be that, right? But to say that he has no chance, and to say there's not guys that he could beat, because I tell you right now, if you trained him 4 months, he beats Volkov. I'll tell you that right now. He would beat Volkov. He would knock out Volkov. I'll say that right now confidently. But guys like, if you have a guy the level of Kane in his prime, he would have a real hard time. But let's see, though. Let's see it applied. Why are we so negative towards it? I don't understand. If a kickboxing guy comes, everybody's for it. Jiu-jitsu guy comes, everybody's for it. Karate guy comes, everyone's for it. But boxing, no way. There's a hate in there. You got to check your heart because there's hate in there. And it's because boxing and MMA are always competitive. I don't think they need to be anymore. I think that the Floyd Mayweather fight showed that there's elite to one style in that boxing, and there's elite to MMA. And I think that we can coexist. I don't think they're competing. I don't think there's any competition there. And I think that once in a while we'll have crossover fights, and that's pretty cool. And I think we should embrace that when it happens. It's not going to happen all the time, but when it does happen, it's interesting, and we should embrace it. But I don't understand, like, he doesn't have a chance. It's like, come on. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a chance. An elite fighter doesn't have a chance. What do most guys get knocked out in MMA with? Their hands. A lot of MMA fights just stay standing. So I don't understand how he doesn't have a chance. That doesn't make sense to me. But we'll see. I mean, time will tell. I don't know if he's serious about going. A lot of guys have said they're going to go over. But honestly, if you don't have the passion for it, you'll stop training it. Because these guys are boxers. They've been doing this whole life. They love boxing. That's why they train it. And these guys are MMA fighters. They love MMA. And that's why they train it. But when you go to one thing that you don't truly 100% love, you're not going to put your full heart into it. And then you'll know the commitment it takes. And then you won't want to do it anymore. So that may happen. He might go there and say, I don't want to work the ground because I never did this and I don't want to learn it because I don't have the heart for it to learn it. But then he may love the ground and be like, I want to see how this applies and I want to prove that I'm the best. Stylebender works because he loves this stuff. He wants to prove that no one can really touch him in anything, right? And that's why I love that guy as a fighter because he's really an elite stand-up guy going to MMA just to really almost prove a point that no one could touch him in anything, but he's the best stand-up guy. And kind of respecting his sport as a kickboxer, going in there to kind of, put respect that, I'm a kickboxer, but I could come do this too, right? And I respect that. But that's a certain mentality it takes. And not everyone's going to want to do that. And I don't blame them. And you're not less of a fighter if you don't want to do it. There's elite wrestlers that don't want to do MMA, right? There's elite jiu-jitsu guys that don't want to do MMA. They love their sport. They don't want to do this. They have no interest in learning this. And some people don't want to get hit, and some people don't want to get taken down. And some people don't want to work jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, it's a very tiring sport. And if, a lot of things what I noticed when I boxed and I went back to jiu-jitsu after a while, then my hips were hurt. And it was because I did so much a different exercise boxing-wise that it was just didn't apply. My body wasn't built to do that at that point, right? Of course, I'm sure if I would have keep doing it, it would adjust and you would feel the comfort again. But it did. And honestly, like, I understand that mentality if you don't want to feel like training it because it's not really what you do and it's not really what you want to do. It's not what you love. So let's just see. Like I said, I'm open to it. And now I'm open to if MMA guy wants to go to boxing, don't fight the best guys right away. Because that's pointless. You're going to lose. Well, why? Why take that? Why do that? But work your way up. Fight like a middle level Pac-10 guy. Fight a middle level Pac and work your way up. And then really treat it with respect. And same thing with a boxing guy. Why fight? Why does he have to fight the best guy right away? Why does he have to fight the Cain Velasquez? Why does he have to fight the Cormiers? Why? Why can't he just fight, 2 scrubs and then work his way up from that point? Let's see. I just don't understand the negativity to it. But listen, this is the weigh-in. I'm glad to be doing this. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I have a lot of visions I could do with it. I have a lot of things that are coming and I'm excited about and I'm going to be bringing to you guys. And hopefully you just follow me on this journey and we can just, do great things with this and do exciting things and bring back the excitement of fighting that, people, there's one way of looking at fighting. We've been doing that for years. And I think there's another way to look at it. And I think there's another avenue for it. And there's another excitement. Let's get, let's go do vlogs and everything at the events. I think it could be really cool and really interesting. So thank you guys for listening.